We find ourselves faced by powers, which are far stronger than hitherto assumed, and whose base is at present unknown to us. More I cannot say at present. We are now engaged in entering into closer contact with those powers, and within 6 or 9 months' time, it may be possible to speak with more precision on the matter. Said by Werner von Braun. From Above Top Secret by Timothy Good, William Morrow and Company, Inc. 1988. Those who know anything at all about how Hitler rose to power have heard about occult secret societies, because they influenced the political climate in Germany behind the scenes, and were the forces that helped bringing the Führer to power. One of them was the Vril Society. During World War II, the Germans yearned for any advantage over their opponents. Whether it was technology, intelligence, or strength, they wanted to be the best of the best. When Maria Orsic, a young German nationalist, came forward to share her remarkable gifts, the Nazis were delighted. What they discovered about her was more spectacular than anyone could ever have imagined. Maria could communicate with extraterrestrials. The Third Reich was influenced heavily, behind the scenes, by a mysterious cult called the Vril Society, of which many top Nazi officers, including Hitler, were members. The Vril Society themselves were influenced by The Coming Race, a science fiction book by Edward Bulwer Lytton, published in 1871. The book has reprinted as Vril, The Power of the Coming Race. Among its readers have been those who believed that its account of a superior subterranean master race, and the energy form called Vril was accurate, to the extent that some theosophists, notably Helena Blavatsky, William Scott Elliot, and Rudolf Steiner, accepted the book as being based on occult truth. A book, The Morning of the Magicians, 1960, suggested that a secret Vril society existed in pre-Nazi Berlin. However, there is no evidence for the existence of such a society. Vril tells the story of the Aryans, an advanced alien race who had the power to use the energy of the universe itself. This piece of fiction laid the foundation for their society's philosophy, and in turn, the Nazi party's. As well as the recurrent esoteric topics in Bulwer Lytton's works, convinced some commentators that the fictionalized Vril was based on a real magical force. Helena Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, endorsed this view in her book, Isis Unveiled, 1877, and again in The Secret Doctrine, 1888. In Blavatsky, the Vril power and its attainment by a superhuman elite are worked into a mystical doctrine of race. However, the character of the subterranean people was transformed. Instead of potential conquerors, they were benevolent, if mysterious, spiritual guides. Blavatsky's recurrent homage to Bulwer Lytton and the Vril force has exerted a lasting influence on other esoteric authors. When the theosophist William Scott Elliot describes life of Atlantis in his book, The Story of Atlantis and the Lost Lemuria, 1896, the aircraft of the Atlanteans race are propelled by Vril force. Scott Elliott's description of Atlantean aircraft has been identified as an early inspiration for authors who have related the Vril force to UFOs after World War II. Members of the Vril Society claimed the story to be truth, and furthermore, that they were actually descendants of the Aryan race. Because of this, they too could harness and utilize the energy of the universe. In order to fully realize their power, however, they needed to hunt down and recover ancient relics, and relearn and utilize long-forgotten, ancient technology. The Vril Society combined the political ideals of the Order of the Illuminati, with Hindu mysticism, theosophy, and the Kabbalah. It was the first German nationalist groups to use the symbol of the swastika, as an emblem linking Eastern and Western occultism. The Vril Society presented the idea of a subterranean matriarchal, socialist utopia ruled by superior beings, who had mastered the mysterious energy called the Vril force. One of the most mysterious leaders in the Vril Society was Maria Orsic, the beautiful goddess of Nazi esoteric science. Maria Orsic, also known as Maria Orsic, was a famous medium who later became the leader of the Vril Society. She was born on October 31, 1895 in Zagreb. Her father was a Croatian, and her mother was a German from Vienna. Tomislav Ori, Maria's father, was born in a house nearby St. Stephen's Cathedral in Zagreb, Croatia, Kuk Austro-Hungarian Empire. Architect, Tomislav worked in 1890s in an office located in Banjale Square. During a trip to Vienna, Tomislav met an exceptionally beautiful young ballerina, by the name of Sabine in 1894. They fell in love, and married short after, and on 31 October 18, 95, in Zagreb, Sabine Orsic gave birth to a stunning blonde girl, she named Maria. Later, Tomislav changed his first name to Thomas. Maria Orsic was a medium and the leader of a Nazi secret society, known as the Vril, that existed in the World War II era. The Vril Society was established after Orsic received communication from extraterrestrials, who had once lived in what is now Sumeria. These beings eventually departed Earth, for the Aldebaran solar system. The Vril named themselves after the ancient Sumerian word Vril, meaning godlike. The Vril members were attractive young women, who grew their hair all the way down past their hips, which was uncharacteristic of the times. The logic for growing their hair to such an extravagant length centered around their belief that human hair acts as an antenna to make contact with extraterrestrials. They believed that they could use their telepathic abilities to communicate with these otherworldly beings and give the Nazis some sort of advantage over their opponents. The Vril Society was led by Maria Orsic of Zagreb, who have received communication from Aryan aliens living on Alpha Centauri in the Aldebaran system. This solar system exists in the constellation of Taurus, which is 68 light-years away from Earth. For comparison, Alpha Centauri, the solar system closest to ours, is 4.35 light-years away from the Earth. Allegedly, these aliens had visited Earth and settled in Sumeria, and the word Vril was formed from the ancient Sumerian word Vril, like God or godlike. A second medium was known only as Sigrun, a name etymologically related to Sigrun, a Valkyrie, and one of Wotan's 9 daughters in Norse legend. After making contact with the extraterrestrials, Maria Orsic transcribed the information in 2 different scripts. The first was a secret German Templar language that she did not personally understand. The second was an ancient language that historians commonly link to the German occult group, known as the Thuli. Most of these scholars are in agreement that this language stems from ancient Sumeria, where the extraterrestrials once thrived. Once the transcriptions were translated into German, the Vril were shocked. The ancient race had given Orsic extremely detailed instructions for constructing a flying saucer. Researchers believe that the information channeled by Orsic led to Nazi Germany's creation of futuristic flying saucers. Some historians point to the alleged Nazi use of so-called Foo Fighters, or unidentified flying objects, during World War II as evidence of the country's superior aircraft technology. These flying vessels were sphere-shaped, and glowed with an intense light, and some believed they were capable of scrambling their enemies' communication. Maria Orsic was the head of the All-German Society for Metaphysics, founded in the early 20th century, as a female circle of mediums who were involved in extraterrestrial telepathic contact. The society was later renamed the Vril Society, or Society of Vrilarian Women. In 1917, Maria Orsic is said to have made contact with extraterrestrials from Aldebaran with her female Vril circle. Later in 1919, the Vril Circle met with other groups in Indiana, a small foresters' lodge in the vicinity of Berchtesgaden, to discuss a possible voyage to Aldebaran, to meet the aliens by the construction of Nazi UFOs. Notes on this space mission are discussed in a recent detailed analysis of Nazi occultism, entitled Black Sun, Aryan Cults, Esoteric Nazism, and the Politics of Identity. The solar system of Aldebaran is 68 light-years from Earth, and 2 inhabited planets which constitute the realm of Sumerian orbit around their sun. The inhabitants of this solar system are subdivided into masters, white god-like people, Aryans, and other different human races. These latter developed because of climatic changes on the individual planets, and were the result of a degeneration of the godlike people. These mutants came to have a spiritual development inferior to the godlike people. The more the races mixed together, the more their spiritual development was degraded. Consequently, when the sun, Aldebaran, began to expand, they were no longer able to make interplanetary voyages. Like their ancestors, it had become impossible for them to leave their planets. Thus the inferior races, totally dependent on the masters, came to be evacuated in spaceships and taken to other habitable planets. In spite of the differences, there was respect between these two races. They did not encroach upon each other's living space, in contrast to Earth. The race of the masters, the white god-like people, had started to colonize other planets similar to Earth, 500 million years ago, following the expansion of the Aldebaran sun, and the growing heat resulting from it, which made the planets uninhabitable. It was said that they colonized the planet Malina, also called Maldak, Marduk, or Phaeton by the Russians, in our solar system, which existed at that time between Mars and Jupiter, where the asteroids are found today. After that, Mars, of which the Great Pyramid cities and the well-known Martian face, photographed in 1976 by the Viking probe, bear witness to the high level of development of its inhabitants. From there, in that era, it was assumed that the godlike people of Cimmerian, Aldebaran, came to Earth for the first time. Old traces of a petrified shoe about 500 million years old, with the trilobite petrified together, with the sole of that shoe, bear witness to it. That primitive fish lived on Earth then, and disappeared 400 million years ago. The Vril Society members thought that the Aldebaranians landed later on, when the Earth became slowly habitable, in Mesopotamia, and that they formed the dominant caste of the Sumerians. These Aldebaranians were called white god people. Moreover, the Vril telepaths received the following information: the Sumerian language was not only identical to that of the Aldebaranians, but it also had tones similar to German, and the frequency of the two languages was almost identical. Those who believe Orsic departed Earth for Aldebaran argue that the top-tier members of the Vril Society, along with other German secret societies like the Thule, had adequate financing from Adolf Hitler's regime for the construction of flying saucers. After all, Germany's leading engineer, Werner von Braun, made no secret of the fact that the Nazis received an abundance of technical information from extraterrestrials before and during World War II. A fellow German space pioneer named Hermann Oberth, one of the German Reich's top rocket designers during World War II, echoed Werner von Braun's claims that the Germans had knowledge of extraterrestrials. Oberth was one of the German Reich's top rocket designers during World War II. Though he moved on to work for the United States space programs, pushed to send men into outer space, Oberth is best remembered for his statements linking the Nazis to extraterrestrials. According to Oberth, the Nazis could not take credit for their advancement in an array of scientific fields. Like von Braun, Oberth claimed, the Nazis received extensive assistance from a super-intelligent, alien life form. Oberth referred to these Vril aliens as people of other worlds. If one takes Oberth and von Braun at their word, it becomes clear that the Nazi government obtained significant military assistance from highly advanced aliens. Many conspiracy theorists believe Maria Orsic's channeling served as the initial point of connection between Germans and these uber-intelligent extraterrestrials. If theorists are correct, Hitler and his henchmen relied on Orsic's detailed channelings to create an array of flying saucers and other high-tech weapons for use in the war. These theorists also believe the Nazis funded millions of dollars to a top-secret program dedicated to mastering flight with flying saucers and other UFO-like aircraft. Researchers believe that the information channeled by Orsic led to Nazi Germany's creation of futuristic flying saucers. Some historians point to the alleged Nazi use of so-called Foo Fighters, or unidentified flying objects, during World War II as evidence of the country's superior aircraft technology. These flying vessels were sphere-shaped, and glowed with an intense light, and some believed they were capable of scrambling their enemies' communication. In 1945, Maria Orsic and the Vril Circle mysteriously disappeared. This has led to some writers, conspiracy theorists, and Nazi mystics, to believing Maria Orsic escaped to Aldebaran. After all this, the Vril Society suddenly disappeared without a trace. Their bodies were never be found. While no one can be sure exactly where they went, a final letter from Orsic to the Vril members stated "Niemand bleibt hier," or "No one is staying here." It's possible that the Vril used Orsic's channeled instructions to build a spacecraft, and leave the planet.